So the prostate gland is there to secrete semen. So if you have a problem or prostate cancer, chances are it would affect your reproductivity as a male, because this is critical in producing the semen that basically carries the sperm.
Oh, I see. Welcome to Let's Talk Science with Tuli, where we connect you to science. Because apparently you think scientists are boring, detached, and inaccessible. And this platform is to show you that scientists actually, what they do is work in the lab to try and figure out some of the world's biggest challenges and try to provide solutions or create solutions to those problems. And at the end of the day, you're science and I'm science. You're looking at me, if you're watching this via YouTube, through science. If you're listening to me, you're listening to me through science, because science is all around us. And today I'm very excited to have Dr. Vusani Mandiwana, where we're going to be talking everything prostate cancer. Hello Vusani, thank you so much for coming to my home.
Hello Tilly, thank you for inviting me.
I wish you guys that are listening could actually see her. She looks lovely. But for those of you that can see, she looks absolutely beautiful. A little bit about where you're from, who you are.
Alright, so I'm a senior researcher at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research in Pretoria. I was born in Venda, Njerere. Went to school and lived most of my life in Musina. It's a small town bordering South Africa and Zimbabwe. Yes. So I'm the second born of 4 girls.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're only girls, and yeah.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. And we're talking today about the research that you're doing in the area of prostate cancer. So very briefly, what is prostate cancer?
So prostate cancer is a disease or a cancer which affects the prostate gland, which is found in men. So it's a disease that, or a type of cancer that only affects men, generally around the age of 50 and above. So those would be the high risk. And apparently it affects more African men than it does Caucasians.
Why is that?
The science is not really understood, but sometimes the possibility could be that who are the people who are getting tested most for these diseases. It could also be DNA, it could be mutations in our cells. So the science is not fully understood, so I can't really comment much on that, because even I don't understand it.
Yeah, and again, when we speak about mutations, we're talking about changes that just take place within the genome itself,
yes,
or within the human genealogy.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So how is this thing treated?
So prostate cancer generally is treated through, there are tablets that are administered depending on the type of cancer or the stage you are on. But generally it's monitoring and surveillance to see how are you progressing with, in terms of the cancer that you have been diagnosed with. Diet, a healthy diet to try and reduce the replication rate of the cancer so that it doesn't multiply or disseminate to other parts of the body. So it's a matter of basically controlling the cancer that is already there. There is treatment such as brachytherapy, hormone therapy, chemical therapy. The ones that most people speak about is chemotherapy, where you undergo treatment with radioisotopes or radioactive materials such as gallium, where you diagnose the cancer.
Let's move back a little bit.
Yes.
You're talking about a prostate gland. Where is it?
So the prostate gland is situated just below the abdomen, and so in a male organ this would be just above the testicles. It's like
I see.
a small walnut-sized gland. So in healthy men, it wouldn't be cancerous, but when you have cancer, it swells up now.
Oh, snap.
So it causes pain in men who have it. So they would generally have ejaculation problems, maybe bleeding when they urinate, back pains.
So it's actually quite a serious thing.
It's a serious disease.
Especially given that it's affecting people who are aged and susceptible to even like more things because they're aging, you know. But what is the function of that gland? Does it have a specific function?
So the prostate gland is there to secrete semen. So if you have a problem or prostate cancer, chances are it would affect your reproductivity as a male, because this is critical in producing the semen that basically carries the sperm.
Oh, I see. And so it's almost like so how would people know that, or how do you prevent it?
You can't really prevent it.
So I guess it's about detecting it.
It's about detecting it early. So generally most men above the age of 40 are basically advised to go for screening tests annually to check, do you possibly have, and if you are from a family where maybe your parents or one of your parents, like your father, had it, or you are basically a high risk, and so basically the age, I'll say 40 to 50 and above, you are high risk. Male, high risk. Smoker, high risk. Too much exposure to the sun, you are high risk. And also family history, you are high risk. Your diet also counts. So what are you eating? Are you eating a good healthy diet? Or are you just being reckless in taking care of your lifestyle, basically?
It's important for prostate. So it's two ways that people can get it. It's either genetic or it's either induced by lifestyle choices.
External factors around us.
Okay. And then so this is like not, you know, like with breast cancer, for example, you can give yourself sort of like a test on your own and sort of feel for a lump.
Yes.
But in the case of prostate cancer, what do people need to do?
You just need to see the doctor.
How do they access it?
So basically, if you go visit the doctor, it's what they would do is a PSA test, prostate-specific antigen test, to look at the amount of the antigen, this prostate-specific antigen that is being secreted. So the older you are, the chances are that your body will secrete more of this antigen. Basically, it's an indicator that hello, you could possibly be in danger of developing severe prostate cancer.
And again, an antigen is like a parasite or something that is foreign that we don't want in our bodies, right?
Yes.
So we're detecting the antigen that would give rise to the swelling or and again, the cancer is a growth, a continuous growth or uncontrollable growth of cells, right?
Of healthy cells.
So can it like also develop and like jump to other areas as well, like most cancers do?
Yes. So with prostate cancer, if maybe not detected early, or not treated, it is likely to disseminate to other parts of the body.
Sure, then it becomes problematic, right?
It becomes problematic.
So you spoke about chemotherapy and you spoke about radioisotopes and you spoke about hormones. Is it a hormonal thing?
I'll say it is.
Yeah?
I'll say it is, yes.
Because obviously...
Because your hormones are out of balance. They're not balanced. So had your hormones been in balance, you wouldn't have the issue of, your body reacting or fighting itself possibly.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I see. So then a treatment of prostate cancer could very well be hormone regulation.
Yes.
All right. And then when you speak about chemotherapy, go a little bit into how chemotherapy would work in the case of prostate cancer.
So with chemotherapy, this is where the patients are injected with, I don't want to get too technical, with radioisotopes or radioactive compounds, maybe mixed in solution. Then you get IV of that, and then that
And when you say IV, you mean
intravenous
it's like
injection is injected into you.
Almost
Usually
like a
they
drip.
have- Almost like a drip. So
Okay.
basically,
They find a vein.
They find a vein.
Okay.
You get injected with the treatment compound or the diagnostic compound, and then it goes to the body. And wherever there's the cancer, it will bind. That radioisotope will basically bind to the antigen that contains the cancer.
And let's speak about radioisotope. What's that?
So radioisotopes are, I don't really remember the term there. I don't want to lie. Next thing, people are busy tagging me and saying, you know,
This is not it.
This is not it. So I don't really remember. But radioisotopes are radioactive nuclides.
Okay.
You know, radioactive elements
Okay.
that can basically identify, in this case, the cancer.
The malignant
Yes,
part.
the malignant part.
Yeah.
And basically say, oh, there's the cancer attached to it, and then almost eat it up.
Oh, I see. So radioisotopes are almost they're almost targeted.
Targeting, yes.
Oh, so it's a targeted solution.
Not really targeted. Unfortunately, with the reason most people get side effects or get sick from chemotherapy is that it works on it targets almost all the cells.
Yeah.
But the benefit is that it kills off the cancerous cells, but it also
I see.
affects the healthy cells, which is the problem, and that's what we're trying to prevent. So that's the research that we're doing in incorporating the radioisotopes in delivery systems so that they don't affect, or we're trying to mask the radioisotope in such a way that it basically evades the healthy cells and targets only the cancerous cells.
Oh, hectic. So if I take if I have a headache and I take a Panado, and my headache is obviously in my head, like that's where I feel it, but the pill I'm taking is going down, right? So it's affecting almost my whole system, right? So if technically the concentration of that pill or that Panado was really high, it would affect everything that it goes past. And that's a similar case with the treatment for chemotherapy. And what you're saying is we need to like find a way to target my head, because that's where the pain is.
Yes.
So what we technically want to do is almost put this pill in a bag,
Yes.
so that it releases when it gets to my head.
Yes.
Is that what?
Yes. So
Okay.
it should only release when it identifies the prostate specific antigen, which is an indicator of the prostate cancer.
Okay, so there's this there's the lump that's just behind the testicle sac, right? And this lump is this prostate gland. And this prostate gland then swells up, and when it swells up, there's obviously something that's foreign there, which is that antigen. And then what you're saying is, whatever it is you're using to get to the mammary gland is going to identify the foreign thing that's not supposed to be there, so the antigen.
Yes.
So that's the first step. It's the identification of the
But
antigen.
keep in mind that this antigen is released into the bloodstream now. So it's in the blood.
Sure, so it's like everywhere now.
Yes. So, but
Problem.
the key would be to target the prostate gland. So most physicians, however it is invasive, they will advise that you remove the prostate gland. So some patients, if it's really severe, they
remove
will
it completely.
Yes. So they will go.
I suppose it's similar
it's
to
safer that way.
removing a whole breast,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Because then it will continue to become problematic. So this is not, surgery is advised in the event that maybe you are in stage 3, stage 4, you wouldn't necessarily go for the invasive surgery as a first option.
As a first option.
So you start with treatment and monitoring
Yeah.
and changing of diet, a good health plan, a lifestyle plan, So most patients are advised like that.
So cancer would be at like level 1, level 2, and that's like the early stages when it's not that bad.
Yes.
3, 4,
Manageable.
it's like when it's manageable,
Yes.
right? We can implement some of the changes that you were talking about. But 3, 4 is when it's like really hectic. This thing is humongous and, you know, spreading to other parts of the body, and that's when you're saying then the suggestion is just remove the thing.
Remove, and now, so it would be removal or the chemotherapy. Would be going for all those therapy treatments.
Yeah. So in the lab, you're saying that. So walk me through exactly what it is. The solution that you're working on is.
So the solution we're working on is basically development of a diagnostic test, a rapid flow, lateral flow immunoassay. So this is used to detect the prostate cancer in its early stages.
Lateral flow is like a pregnancy test,
Yes,
right?
so basically there isn't such in the market right now for prostate cancer. So we're trying to develop one for prostate cancer so that we can pick it up early rather than the later stages. Because if you look at our fathers generally, the black population doesn't want
They don't present to the hospital.
Yes, they don't want to admit that they're possibly sick. And most of them, unfortunately, are diagnosed when they're in stage 3, stage 4. So if we can present them with a rapid test where you can get it at a clinic, maybe even clicks or disc game, they can go and check themselves and basically know early on and do something about it. So the reason most men avoid this is because the initial test is invasive because it's RDM, it's a rectal test where the doctor has to put his finger up to test for the swelling of the prostate. So most men don't want that, as well as blood tests. So sometimes with public hospitals, the results do take quite long to come back. So if we can get a rapid test that is just, easy to access, we are solving that whole problem. You understand? And
because people would go if it was easier. I mean, the nature of the test and how invasive it is actually a barrier, right?
It is a barrier, and that is just the initial test. There's a second stage testing which involves you getting the IV isotopes and going under a machine to get what they call Photon tomography testing. It's like MRI, where you go under the cameras and they can see, okay, there's prostate, it's red there, so you are positive for prostate.
In a test like that, it's a visual test, so you would get some kind of a system, or I don't know what to call it, like a dye that perhaps people maybe ingest, like a fluorescent dye that under a specific kind of light, if there's cancer, it will then light up and you'll be able to see on the screen that, there's that red mark here, so there's definitely prostate cancer.
So the fluorescence that you would be getting would be from the gamma rays of the isotopes that were ingested or given intravenously. So unfortunately with those tests, they're quite expensive and they're not readily available even in our clinics. You understand? So we want to bypass those barriers and those gaps and say, you know what, let's try get something quick. That these men can know that they're positive without having to go through that whole process and the follow-ups and come back and waiting for results. Whereas a rapid test, you get results now. Within 5 to 10 minutes, you've got your results. Unfortunately, with that, I think one of the reasons there also isn't a rapid test on the market is basically we are still troubleshooting the antibodies and the sensitivity of the test. Because we might have the antibodies.
And when you say antibodies, you're speaking about this antigen that gives rise to the cancer will then elicit some kind of a response from the body, and the immune system will then develop an antibody, and then that antibody will go and try to target that antigen. So what you're saying is when you're developing a lateral flow, you're almost simulating that antibody-antigen relationship. On a piece of paper.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So the problem with that is sensitivity. So you could be positive for prostate, but it's not that sensitive on paper. It doesn't relate or translate
Very
as
well,
well on
yeah.
nitrocellulose, on the membrane.
And nitrocellulose membrane is the paper that is used for the lateral flow diagnostic tool.
Yes.
And it's the same, it's nitrocellulose for pregnancy test
For
as well,
pregnancy.
and most lateral
Yes.
flow tests.
Yes.
Okay, sure, okay. So what you're saying is that you guys are in the very early stages of this research and you're trying to work out these sensitivity issues so that you're able to bring to the public
Yep.
a readily available, over-the-counter diagnostic tool that the average 40, 50 year, 60, 70, 80-year-old can use at home, in the comfort of their own home,
Yes.
without necessarily having to have some stranger, in putting their fingers up their anus. Because that's also
Yes.
not something that anybody wants to do,
Yeah, it's not a nice process.
No,
Even
I
the
can
blood
imagine.
test, this hits close
Painful.
to, it's quite painful. So for me, this also hits quite close to home because my dad is also basically a risk, he's in the risk group of prostate cancer. So he's in the early stages, but we've been managing it quite well. But the follow-ups, the treatment, and he reacts. There are days when he reacts
And he
on
doesn't
the
wanna
treatment,
go.
and I'm glad he's willing. So at
Yeah.
least he's very open-minded and he's aware of his health, and he's very keen on the follow-ups.
Yeah.
He's vigilant and compliant.
But that's
It's
not
just-
everyone.
It's not everyone,
Compliance
but
is hard.
but when there was a time he took some particular pills, the treatment pills, and he was extremely sick. So if you get
The side
sick
effects.
yes, the side effects were bad, extremely bad. So if you get sick to that extent, would you want to go back?
No.
Chances are not. So we have a lot of issues on our hands. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Wow.
a tough one.
Okay, so I think we understand, at least I understand, and I hope you understand as well, the sensitivity around the detection of prostate cancer and the limitation it may cause on people getting treatment at an early stage. And I think that from Dr. Mandiwana, what we see is that there are people working on research to make these things and make these solutions come to life. And I think that was a really powerful session. I really feel like I've learned a lot because there's quite a lot that I don't know about cancer. There's such a variety of different cancers, and I think that's been really helpful for me, and I hope it was helpful for you. And that, folks, brings us to the end of our Let's Talk Science segment, and we're going to go into #BeyondScience, where we're going to learn a little bit more about what Vusani does for fun, who she is outside of the lab when she's trying to save the world and save everybody from the discomfort of this horrific prostate cancer test. I'll see you guys